There we go.
Oh, 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 she's so pretty. Sporty, tabby.
Yeah, it's
Oh,
domestic
wow.
sort of. Yeah.
Like a rag doll. Look at that. You can just hold her up.
Wait.
Just
And then the
she
dog is
looks.
down here just really wanting attention too.
Oh, please. This is how I like to do podcasts, is start out stiff and technical and then slowly warm up.
Yeah. Well, how's it going, man? Congratulations on Hyperbolic.
Thank you very much. It's been good. I've been touring a lot better. I've been touring better because of it, which is nice to have that security and then just uh, posting clips from it. And on my way to a new hour, it's not as good as the hour I just made, but it works in the room. And I think live, it's as good as my special was on video. So much worse, I guess. I'm not really selling the live show very well, but I was able to turn over a good amount of new stuff so people who've seen the special can come see me and get a new show.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I mean that's awesome because it's tough, to come off of something and then people, especially and then come out in the new year and go and start doing new things. I mean, it seems like I just finished watching your special. It seems like that special had a lot more to do with basically two things. If I had to boil it down, I don't want to pigeonhole you, but first half
Love to
was
hear
like
it.
Jewish stuff. Second half was your fiance, and then like and building small things around that it all worked. But I feel like you're young. We're both young. You can come out and find other experiences to really talk about. For
Mhm.
one thing, we both have dead dads, and we can just
Yeah.
you can build off of that in any way possible. I know you did in this special, but
Mhm.
you could also do more stuff with that too.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you nailed it. It was like heritage, Southern Jewish, Cajun. A lot of talk about that, and then just talk about it being a relationship, just being an outmoded millennial man and wayward and useless in the modern world. But um, it is you're right. There are luckily life experiences to have. Now I'm like eager to like. I'm engaged, about to get married. That's
Mhm.
obviously a gold mine. I've been talking more about. It's fun to go. I mean, I really like Mulaney. I look to Mulaney so much for inspiration. How he can just go back to like a story from his childhood and make 10 minutes around it. You're like, what am I missing in my life? What is unmined? Obviously, it never feels like there's anything going on currently, but just looking for where. To me, it's the stories. What are the stories and the experiences that can you can really milk?
Yeah. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think that is a good thing that Mulaney can do. And I just watched James Acaster. He just
Hmm.
did Heckler's Welcome. And and
Brilliant.
and then Rory Scovel's last hour was just so fantastic. And just like watching people that you've seen for a long time just really build upon something. I couldn't do it. That's why
Mhm.
I don't do stand up. In fact, actually, I was waiting to drop this. We met between 2016 and 2018. You were at the Laughing Skull
Laughing
Lounge,
Skull.
yeah, in Atlanta, and you did like 5 minutes, and then I think you were touring, but you just like stopped in basically like to do some reps, and
Mhm.
then I walked up to you after the show and I was like, "Hey man, good job." You said, "You too." You did not watch me. I know you did not, but it was a very kind thing, like that you said, just like, "Yeah, good, you too." Just like rushing out.
I might have. I don't think I would lie. I might have heard the crowd laughing, and that was
Okay.
what the most insincere thing I would do is hear the crowd and say, "Okay, that person's doing a good job." I might not listen. I actually have like different coded phrases for how I compliment a person's set depending on what I listened to or how I reacted to it. Um,
I gotta
but
know. I gotta know. What are these coded phrases?
and this is not about you because I don't remember that, but
No worries.
good job is the lowest. It really just means it's. I want everything to say being a thing I could stick to. You did the job well, and I am making no personal appraisal of the material or
Mhm.
how you performed. That is typically when I paid little attention or but I possibly didn't personally enjoy it. So I often say good job or sounded like you did well because that is serious. Typically, if I really want the person to feel good about themselves, I will say, I really enjoyed that, and that is a much different compliment. That is me quietly saying I'm rooting for you and I enjoy what you do, and I I watch a lot of comedy and I can appreciate what everyone's for the most part what everyone's doing if something actually makes me um, have fun. I'm
Yeah.
quite grateful to that person and often want them to know.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
I do the
You
same
have that?
thing. Yeah,
Yeah.
of course. Yeah. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I do the same thing. I've been doing this for 10 years now.
Mm-hmm.
And like you can everybody can go back and look at any one of these interviews I've done, and I do like if I get really specific, like with you, I can get specific and talk about the jokes you just wrote and I just
Mm-hmm.
watched. But then other times it's just either I'll say, hey, I didn't watch it, or I couldn't because I didn't get a screener or anything,
Mm-hmm.
or I'll just try to be as nice as possible and
Yeah.
like really skate past it. Oh, you wrote a book? Yeah, yeah, it's great. It's
Yeah.
awesome. Just move on forward.
And yeah, that's it's so true. Also, I'm personally grateful for anyone who just listened to my set. If anyone actually like notes a joke, I'm like, that's all I want. I can't make you enjoy it, and it's not going to be for everyone. And like, I obviously have to accept that with what I do, having certain people enjoy it, meaning certain other people might not. I
Mhm.
aim for somewhat of a niche product, and that's how it works, and I'm okay with that. Um, but just anyone listening to, just anyone who comments anything, I'm just very grateful. There was a great interview with a guy named Stromae. He's a Belgian rapper, hip hop artist.
Yeah.
Brilliant, brilliant. One of my favorite artists in general. And there was an interview he did after one of his songs blew up. Papa Ute, it's one of the best music videos of all time. And they go, "What do you think made this video so successful?" He goes, "I think what made it successful is all these people watched it. So thank you. Ask them why it did well because they're the reason it did well. And thank you to anyone who liked it, hated it, left comments, anything. All of it's appreciated." And I thought that
Yeah.
was such a great way to appreciate creating stuff. Is just you gave it a try, and that's all I control,
Right.
all you control. Yeah.
Yeah. I think about that. Hannibal Buress once said in an interview, either you think I'm funny and you're right, or you think I'm not funny and you're right. It's just, it
Ah,
works.
that's great. That's wonderful. Uh, I love the whole coded response thing. I try not to tell my secret score I give to people. Uh, yeah, thank you for watching. That said, I really, really appreciate that. That really means a lot to me, especially
Yeah.
it sounds like you got through at least most of it. So,
Well, I mean, it's good, especially with doing interviews, talking to comedians and everything. It's very hard to watch everything. And as I used to when I was in high school, just I
mhm.
could watch everything. And in college, I could watch everything. But now it's just so tough because everybody's coming out with something. And I think you have to really delineate who do you want to support fully, and I think it's easier now for to say like the successful ones are they're going to be with Netflix, and then the other ones they're going to be with some HBO, and then some are going to be with Hulu now. But I think it's cool to how people can just put things out on YouTube and it can do well and it can be produced well and everybody can see it.
Yeah, yeah. I'm very grateful. I had when the industry still existed, I was given lots and lots of opportunities for which some I was deserving, a lot I was not. But just I got a really good platform via Comedy Central and late night, and it made me a little cozy and entitled. And I
Mm,
was just expecting to do the job, go do stand up, go write material, and when I was ready, they would give it to me. And I took longer than I should have to realize that that's not the model, and that's not even the best way to go about it. I feel very empowered by the fact that I can just put this out and have the reception I hoped for.
yeah.
And I I get to I am the sole proprietor of this victory. Not totally obviously. There's endless people to thank, but when you put it out via Comedy Central or via Netflix, you go, okay, I did a good job. But how much was just the fact that Netflix only puts out 5 specials a
Yeah.
month, and I was one of them and just got the viewership? How many people who weren't deserving, went unnoticed who would have done better? In this landscape, you don't have any angel investors. You don't owe any shareholders
Right.
kickbacks.
Yeah.
You get to just say, I made it, I put it out, and I get to reap all the benefits of it. So I think that's true for any creator right now
Mhm.
in this, DIY landscape.
I looked at your TikTok too and your Instagram, and as you said, you cut the videos for
Hmm.
from the special from this, and they're doing bonkers. Like the numbers are crazy.
Thank you.
And how is that like seeing, you've done you had the late night stuff, you had the Comedy Central stuff, and then and seeing that stuff on social. possibly do way better than anything you've ever done. What is that like for you as a comedian, just making things, and how does that change your perspective on comedy or how you make comedy at this point?
I mean, that's a very keen observation. I'm impressed you noticed that these things. I mean, that's been the case with the clips from the special. I'm very happy with how things are being received. Um, my career really started moving about 3, 4 years ago
Hmm.
when I had already done a half hour and a late night set and Conan. I had had some traction from those, but it was a very small amount of things. I still owed my touring to the good graces of clubs and agents who would book me despite me not ever filling a room on my own.
Wow.
Um, it got better when I realized that no one worked at Comedy Central anymore. There was no
Yeah.
copyright claims being checked by any of these networks. So I just went and ripped all of my sets off of YouTube and started posting clips. And basically, each one of them did better than anything I've ever done on television combined.
Yeah.
Just the amount of views you can get. And it was so weird being discovered's a silly word, but discovered for stuff that I had already done on TV. And the running joke is you talk to someone on a plane to tell them you do comedy. They go, "Oh, hope to see you on TV one day." You're like, "I've already been on TV. I hope you see me on your phone."
Yeah. Yeah.
That's where it is. So it's empowering. It's a little maddening that I was so stupid to give so much power to someone who had none, to an entity that had none. But I mean, yeah. The one downside of the social media thing is I'm thrilled with anyone who will watch a 90-second clip of me and enjoy it and seek out more of me. That's really cool. But I am not a 90-second comedian. I am a 10-minute, 15-minute, 50-minute comedian. That's what I
Right.
work on. That's what I really try to think about. I don't let myself think about the clip. I think about the joke and how it's going to do in the room primarily, because if it fails in the room,
Hmm.
that's a much worse feeling, and we're always trying to avoid that. So I would like to try to convince people to, if you like this 90 seconds, it's even better if you watch the 5 minutes surrounding it. And those 5 minutes are even better if you watch the 15 minutes surrounding that.
Yeah.
So that long form viewership is lost. And I'm part of the problem. My attention span is so short. I say all this and I'm on Instagram more than YouTube. I could go to YouTube. It's like why am I reading articles when I could read a book?
Yeah.
Um, so but I don't know. I'm hopeful about the state of things. I think Josh Johnson's success currently is owed firstly to his talent, but secondly to the
Hmm.
fact that we're all becoming aware of our attention spans approaching this infinitesimal width, and we're like, I got to consume something longer and more thoughtful, or I'm going to become a drone,
Right.
a mumbling buffoon.
Yeah, it's speaking of Josh, he every so often will put on something on YouTube and it'll be so of the moment. It'll be 20 minutes long. It'll be
Hmm.
this just long explanatory video that's talking about random topic, RFK brain eating that brain worm that he had. And
Hmm.
it'd be 20 minutes long.
Hmm.
And yeah, you definitely cannot take that and put that on Instagram for 90 seconds, or now I guess they expanded to 2 minutes, however long it's supposed to be. And I think about that. You're correct. For you, it's crazy. I think about, you can say, "Hey, my mom, she's bipolar," but you cannot take that out of context with the story of you having to go to the airport to pick her up because she misused a word with
Yeah.
somebody at an airport. Like it's so.
Yeah.
Like it just wouldn't make sense, and yeah, driving people from social to watch something longer has gotten so much more tough. When I post clips from these interviews, or some a longer podcast or whatever, people go, "Oh, I loved your podcast," and I go, "Did you watch the whole thing?" And no, I
No.
just watched the 40 seconds you put up, and it's I'm it makes me think unless somebody is directly pointed to something, or unless somebody is gigantically famous like a Mulaney, how do we get people to watch and be in tune and entertained? Because with the state of TikTok was down for a whole day, and I'm sure children cried. So how do we divert eyes? I just it just makes me wonder, like what is that?
I don't know. I really don't know. It's so funny that the goal used to be with social media. How do we get people off of the app? I'm sorry. How do we? I ruined the joke already. But how do we get people into the club to see
Mm.
us. And now it's how do we get people off of this app to another app?
Yeah.
That's a leap. People are like, oh, I don't want to leave Instagram. I'm like, you're not leaving anywhere. You're on your phone. You're sitting in one space. There's no motion. There's how is there inertia for the movement of your thumbs? Uh, I I worked hard on this special to make sure my dream was always to do. I loved 5 minutes. I love the idea of writing a 5 minute set, a 5 minute joke, a la uh, the greats of the 20 teens, the Jay Larson's
Right.
phone call bit, the obviously the Goldman, all those bits I really loved on Conan. And I wanted to make a special if it was 40 plus minutes that was that density throughout. That was my goal, which was a really hard thing. And it took me 8 years to do,
Yeah.
and thought maybe if I could just give people that unwavering density of jokes, they'll stick around. I think it's on creators a little bit to not make such disposable content.
Mm.
I think right now there's a lot of people who are just making stuff to make stuff every week, and people are rushing things out faster. I
Right.
think we're all lying about the amount of time it takes to craft things, especially when you're newer. When you're 30 years in, you can do like Louis or someone like Joe List where you can have that quality at that rate, but
Yeah.
there's a learning curve, and I don't know why people are putting out hours when they don't have a new one. Put it out when it's ready.
Yeah.
No one's making you do it, especially when you have successful podcasts and sketches and stuff. Why not just make long form content that's good?
Hmm.
I don't know. For me, it's I got to look inward, and I got to my own habits are so bad with just being on my phone all the time and not consuming anything worthwhile and jumping from one thing to the next the second I get distracted.
Yeah.
I hope it gets better.
Yeah, I think it will because as you mentioned with the podcast, a lot of comedians, even though I don't think we need any more podcasts, but a lot of comedians have become super successful. And then speaking of Goldman, Gary, he put out that special, and before that, I think he put a book out recently too. The
Hmm.
one, and so there's many ways to attain more viewers, but I don't think a lot of people are paying that much attention unless it's somebody who is recommended by somebody bigger. And
Right.
and yeah, or unless they're searching it for themselves. For you, when you are writing a new bit or anything, or you're trying to discern what could make it into what you say on stage, where are you driving all that from? Where does that come from? The creativity, the experiences we talked about earlier.
Uh, Needs to get a laugh. I need to think it's funny. Needs to get a laugh. That's the first step. The process is it's like a crystal forming in a liquid. Once one thing takes hold,
Hmm.
stuff forms around it. So having like one little joke that works, like almost every joke I have starts as a one-liner and builds out. And what I've noticed over the years is the jokes that tend to work the best and stick around the longest and accumulate the most content to build them up are vulnerability, isolation, unique experiences that somehow have a universal underlying feeling that we can all share. Um, that's kind of where I start from. And yeah, I really revere storytelling and character based comedy. I'm not there yet. I still err towards observational, and I like observational, but it doesn't impress me as much as the like really like personal, vulnerable stuff.
Hmm.
So that's where I look is just what do I feel insufficient? What makes me feel less? What makes me feel alone? My kind of mission statement for comedy is, jokes are a technical thing, and I will craft those as well as I can. But
Hmm.
the goal is to make people feel less alone, and if you make people feel less alone, they'll keep coming back for more. So that's kind of where I start from.
When you realized that you were somebody who could be a vulnerable on stage in that way, what was that realize like what was this process? Because when you start out as a comedian, you're like telling all these jokes and you're trying to find that voice. But when you finally found that voice, did you feel comfortable? Did it feel like something clicked for you?
There was a moment where my I was probably 5 years into comedy, and my agent, who's more on the acting side, uh, came to a show. He goes, "Man, I could listen to you make fun of yourself all day." And I said, "What if I took that statement literally? what if I took that at face value and experimented with that? There's obviously some point of diminishing returns, but he was not wrong of me being the butt of the joke. When I started out, my voice was very different than what it was now. I liked picking on people. I liked punching down. I
Hmm.
liked stories where I won, and I failed spectacularly trying to do that.
Right.
Um, and slowly, the crowd will shape you into the best version of you if you listen to them. So my jokes just naturally evolved into the more me losing, me being vulnerable. And I would say that there was a moment maybe like 8 or 10 years in where I was looking back through old bits, and I thought what made my comedy strong was my attention to the details, the crafting of the jokes. I like the jokes themselves. I thought that was the most important thing, and my ability to make jokes about kind of minute subjects or go deep in on something that wasn't often talked about. And when I listened back to the jokes, I realized that wasn't the part that people liked. The part that people liked was me failing, me coming up short and losing.
Hmm.
And I kind of realized that almost all of my stories involve me losing. And I look back and then I realized that that was a more verdant path to yeah. So there's kind of that having misconceptions about what people liked about my act, and then
Yeah.
having that kind of overturned by just looking. It was actually when I was going back through old clips and just editing all this stuff and putting it online, I realized what was working for me was that.
Yeah, and you seem very confident on stage. Obviously,
Thank you.
you come out I think everything that you've done, you just come out very like you own the stage already. Especially with this special and everything else I've seen, especially like the Comedy Central one too. You kind of start in the middle of a sentence, and everybody's already laughing, and I think that is so good for a comedian because we don't have to dwell on the applause breaks. We don't have to dwell on the stuff that's unnecessary. It's just, you mentioned before all of like we're just putting out stuff to put out stuff.
Mhm.
This feels like there's a reason why it's out.
Thank you. I appreciate that. That's really, really kind. Um, Funny story. The reason the special starts on a laugh like that. I mean, I chose that start, and I thought it was very fun to, there's jokes I did that I walked on stage. I did a joke about the host. I did some jokes about New York City. Those aren't going to make it into the special, but I thought it was very fun to leave this laughter trailing off and starting the next joke and leave the crowd at home wondering what they missed in this whole idea of you're coming to sit with us. You
Yeah.
get to sit in on this little experience we're all having. But the real reason I did it was because my first joke is about jerking off on the subway. And if you say jerking off in the first 7 seconds, the video gets demonetized. So I needed a way to push the word jerking off to the 12-second mark rather than the
Mm.
7 second mark. And that was why I did that, just to save being demonetized and getting lower viewership.
That is the smartest thing I've ever heard any comedian do in regards to putting out a special. That's how did you figure that out? Was it
But
in the edit or was it during the show?
way after the show,
Okay.
we did a cut of the special, and then my director was like, "Oh yeah, by the way, you can't start out with jerking off." I'm like, "That was the opening joke. That was always the opening joke. It doesn't really function any other way." And we discussed like flipping the special and moving like there's kind of like you said, there's three parts of the special, and just kind of moving them around and having
Okay.
kind of ugly cuts. And I was like, "Nah, I'd really like an interesting start. I don't want to like start right away on a joke."
Mhm.
But I also really don't think I have any right to welcome to the stage, Matthew. How you doing, New York? I'm like, that's 15 seconds. That's an
Right.
eternity for people who don't know who I am, which is 99.9% of people. So I wanted to kind of give them a let's get the ball rolling. Something I heard. I was inspired by DaBaby, the
Yeah.
rapper. If you listen to his songs, the second the start song starts, he starts rapping because he doesn't want to waste your time. He wants to
Mm.
show you as quickly as possible, his skill as a verse rapper.
Oh wow.
Um, so that I take a lot of inspiration from hip hop, if I'm being honest.
That's the second rapper you've mentioned. Who else do you listen to?
I grew up studying, and this is so lame, Ludacris. Word of
Okay.
mouth. I had just moved to Atlanta, and it was my cultural reference point for being new to Atlanta. I thought it would help me get everything I needed to know about Atlanta. Instead, I learned about Decatur and College Park. I went to high school in Buckhead and grew up in East Cobb, so wasn't the prereqs I needed. The wordplay was wonderful. Obviously, Eminem, Nelly, um, early Drake, early Wale. Like the wordplay was so good that you had to go back and listen and like wow, that was really subtle, and he didn't even
Yeah.
like give me time to process it. Just the density with which they would do things, and the unabashed cleverness. That's the thing about rap is they're just so clever,
Hmm.
and it's not in this way where like look how smart I am. It's just for the sake of being clever. It's a
Yeah.
demonstration of skill.
I miss the in the gym I listen to a lot of LL Cool J, NWA, just like a lot of 90s rappers. And I just the 2000s rappers, I think they're missing the ability to scare me. I want to be afraid of people. So it's like the 90s guys and then people like Young Dolph, Key Glock, that's who I listen to now, essentially.
Uh-huh. Yeah, 90s, I mean 2000s rap was like the hair metal of rap.
Yes.
It was
Yes.
like, like songs like Grills
Hmm.
were artistically terrible. I danced to them. I did like I don't know what it's called, booty rap, whatever the Atlanta Yin Yang Twins strip club rap.
Yeah.
That
That's
era
that's
was
good.
crunk rap. That's the name.
Yeah, crunk.
I will say a rapper now who hits just pure wit, where you can just study the writing, but also scares the shit out of me. T Grizzly is my favorite rapper,
Yes, T
maybe
Grizzly's
ever.
fantastic.
Can't write a hook to save his life, so he's never
No.
going to be as big as he should be. But the guy can do a full verse. He can do it like First Day Out has no chorus. It's just
Yeah.
one giant verse, and every sentence is enthralling. Uh,
Yes.
he is early '90s gangster rap adjusted for inflation. It's so good.
And the robbery series too. One, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight. From T Grizzly is
I'll check it
just
out. I know
yeah.
like five of his songs. I'll do an absurd deep dive. Is that he's trapped in the closet
It's exactly
anthology?
what that is. He's telling
Yeah.
a long form story,
Uh-huh.
getting out of jail, just stop dealing drugs. It's so stupid, but you
Hmm.
have no choice but to enjoy it.
It's so great. I love
Yeah.
that dude so much. Who else do you listen to?
Oh man, let's see. Tupac, Biggie.
Hmm.
As of for today, let's see. Oof, boy, there's so many, and it's ridiculous. Like that. Two Chains, obviously.
Great
Uh,
word, best wordplay of I would say top 10 wordplay of any rapper.
yeah.
Two Chainz.
He and the way that he could transform himself from Titty Boy to Two Chains, it's just he's family friendly. Run DMC. Let's see. Uh, oh, uh, Jay-Z, of course,
Hmm.
Rick Ross, Jeezy, the Beastie Boys, ASAP Ferg, Rocky, Gucci,
Berg's great. Yeah.
Run the
Gucci's great.
Jewels, Future, Pooh Shiesty. If you like people like T Grizzly, Pooh Shiesty.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Who do you think is better between Tupac and Biggie?
All right. In the past 3 years, I'm
I switched.
thinking Biggie.
Yeah, me too. I thought Tupac was better unequivocally for about 20 years. And then I realized he had a lot of heart. Like, there's few people who can show you who they are
Yeah.
as a rapper better than Tupac. You see the ins, the outs, the ugly, the good, the hope, the fear,
Hmm.
the arrogance,
Yeah.
all of it. He's such a three-dimensional character. But Biggie is such a technically savvy rapper that what
Yes.
he was doing in 1993, you would still stop and go, this guy's really good at rapping.
Yeah.
Like, at a time when rap was in its infancy, when it had that really stilted da 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 da
Yeah.
da da da, like it was still recovering from that his just almost like Eminem, where it's like you're reinventing how rhyming works.
Yes.
You
Yes.
rhyme oxygen with lots of gin. It's just impressive.
I like
Uh,
or am trying to find a word that rhymes with orange, and then everybody's like, you can't find a word with orange, and he goes, yeah, you have to find things that sound like orange and put
yeah,
that in the same verse. You go, yes, that's how it works. That's lyrics.
he's so good. Eminem is so good, and I'll talk about three-dimensional.
Yeah.
It's crazy how much. He was so good. It's funny that you also think that Biggie. You think Biggie would have been at the Freak Offs? I was thinking about this week.
Oh,
If he was
one
alive.
hundred percent. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. And I think he would if he was still alive today, he would I don't think he'd be relevant too much in rap, but I do think that he would um have gotten in trouble with Diddy.
Yeah. He'd also be skinny now, which would be just really disappointing. He would have like taken Ozempic and gotten on Weight Watchers, and he'd be like skinny with like a weirdly flabby face. And I don't
The same
know,
voice though.
same voice. He
Yeah.
was. Yeah, if he had been at the Diddy parties, they would have needed 2,000 bottles of baby oil.
Just to squeeze him through the door. Don't nobody died. I hope Biggie's family is not listening to this.
They've heard worse. From have you heard that? I don't know if he ever put it out. Did you ever hear Hannibal Buress is such an underrated, even as successful as he is, Hannibal Buress is such an underrated comedian. He had a bit about Tupac and Biggie about the is it the end of Hit 'Em Up?
Where Tupac is talking for like 2 minutes straight
Uh-huh.
about Biggie and calling him fat and
Yeah.
all that stuff. Yeah, yeah.
Have you heard the Hannibal bit about it?
No, I don't think so.
The premise of the bit, and please go listen to it if because I'm going to butcher it, but it was like that doesn't even rhyme. This could have been a voicemail. You're just being mean. You can't even say it's rap anymore.
That's so funny. Is that
Yeah.
after Who Shot You? I think that's after Who Shot You, right?
I don't recall.
Yeah.
I don't
That
recall.
entire fight was just
Also,
yeah.
I should be promoting my special, but man, if you're a Hannibal fan, he put up Miami Nights and then took it down. I don't know where it is. Go find it. It's one of
Yeah.
the best specials ever. It starts out with about 25 minutes of like Hannibal observational, and you're like, this is good, but I know Hannibal's observational humor, and it's just kind of what he does, but it's just we've grown used to it in an entitled way. And then at the 25-minute mark, he starts a 35-minute story that is the most impressive story I've ever heard a comedian tell. 35 minutes, no fluff. And it just keeps, and you're like, there can't be more to this story. It has to be done. And it just keeps getting better. That's such a great special.
I watched, I think I rented that when it came out, and the only thing I remember from it is how bright the neon lights were. Because I
Mhm.
remember there's like a flashing section, and I thought if I was gonna have a seizure, it would be right now.
What are your favorite specials?
I do. I mentioned it earlier. Gary Goldman's last special on HBO was
Hmm.
just fantastic.
Hmm.
I'm gonna be basic and say something from Mulaney.
Yeah, right.
Bigger, blacker, and uncut from Chris Rock. And I think she's in trouble now, but there's a part of my heart because I saw the my very first special ever was an Ellen DeGeneres special on
Straight.
yeah,
Yeah.
and that was such a good one. But there's a
Hmm.
lot of good smaller half hour, 40-minute ones that I just can't seem to remember. But those are the ones top of my head. What about
Yeah.
Free?
Animal Furnace.
Animal Furnace is fantastic.
It's
Yeah,
so good. It's just so free and loose. He's such a good writer.
yeah.
Um, Something by Louis. Probably something by Louis, maybe like Hilarious or something. Obviously, New in Town.
New in town. Yeah.
New in Town over the rest of them. They're all great, but New in Town was. Oh, and then I saw his Mulaney's new hour. When I saw it live, it was maybe the best hour
I
live.
saw it. Yeah, I saw it live too.
Yeah, he had a different start that I thought was a lot better live. He came out and just shit on the crowd, and it was his way of saying, "I'm not a nice guy.
Yeah.
I'm the villain in all these stories." Um, God, there's a lot I could. I mean, I really surprised it to no one. I really enjoy Tosh.
Tosh is
He's
good.
such a great writer. Maria Bamford,
Oh.
How to Win, is that what it's called?
Is that the one that she did in front of her parents or
No, way
okay.
before. And I love all of her new stuff,
Yeah.
but this was
Okay.
like when she was very much not yet successful
Okay.
and had a lot to prove. And it was just so it's weird. It's weird how in stand up you get so much better with time, but your early work, even though it's so technically flawed, can have
Mhm.
an authenticity to it that
Right.
can never be reclaimed with age. Like there's a comic, I don't know if he even does stand up anymore, Ramin Nazer. He's an incredible artist. He has check him out on Instagram. His art is some of the most inspiring art I've ever seen. He just like cute little cartoony strips that truly just make you feel better about life. But he has a special called "You Were Good Too," or an album called "You Were Good Too,"
Okay.
and it's still one of my favorite things ever. And he's just like maybe 5 years into comedy, and it's like goofy and loose, and it's just so free. And he's I hope he doesn't listen to this, but like he's not yet found his he doesn't have the dominating stage presence yet of a
Yeah.
veteran comedian, and that's somehow more charming.
Yeah. Whenever a stadium or whenever a comedian does a stadium, that's when I think it loses its charm. It's
Yeah,
just too big, too big. Like I love
yeah,
Nate Bargatze. He's very, very funny, and his last special was great. But I just think that doing it in the round at a baseball stadium is just
yeah.
insane.
That's why I don't do stadiums.
Yeah,
Not
that's the
because
reason.
that's the reason. They say, Matthew, you want to do arena? I go, no, I want to do a room that seats 100 people but only has 70. That's where I think that's very much my choice
Yeah.
and on purpose.
And I can hear somebody flush the toilet and order chicken poppers at the same time.
I want to know. Yeah, I want to know what everyone's ordering. I want to have an idea of what drinks everyone prefers. Yeah,
It's perfect. Well, Matthew, I don't want to take up too much more of your time. This has been fantastic. Uh,
fantastic. Thanks for doing the work. Thanks for doing the research. Thanks for caring.
yeah, I do what I
What's new
can.
with you? What's going on in your life? Listeners know what's up with you?
There's nothing going on in my life. My cat needs surgery.
Oh no.
Yeah, she has a mass on her hip, and
Okay.
I just learned insurance would not pay for it, so I have to
No.
figure out a way to do that. And yeah, I'm just hanging out, doing trying to talk to as many people as possible. Uh, After these wildfires has been insane. So
Where
yeah,
you living?
Atlanta.
Okay.
Yeah,
After the
yeah,
wall. Okay.
yeah, yeah.
Oh, what part of Atlanta?
I live in Old Fourth Ward, Inman Park area. Yeah.
Gentrifying rapidly?
Yeah, oh, 100%. But you
Uh-huh.
know what? I'm trying to keep it real.
Yeah. How is it? Wait, do you have cat insurance? It's the cat's health insurance?
Yes, the cat's health insurance through a company I shall not name, but
Uh-huh.
yeah, hopefully
Are
I
we gonna have
can.
to take out a CEO of a pet insurance?
Oh my God, Luigi! I got to get Luigi ready to
Get
go.
Luigi on the Petco.
Yeah.
Uh, what? I can't believe they don't pay for it. I'm so sorry. That's wildly frustrating.
Yeah.
That'd be the one thing. Is it because it's like a cosmetic surgery? It just looks ugly.
Well, she wanted Botox, and then she just said to get some reconstruction stuff going on. But I look, and she's a woman. I said, yeah, fine, you do what you got to do.
You gotta look young. I get
Yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah.
What's your cat's name?
Nova.
Good
Yeah,
name.
yeah. I did
I,
not name her, but it's great.
oh, it's still a good name.
Yeah.
I don't take it back. I love my cat is like the hardest part of touring is not seeing my cat. I love him
Yeah.
very much. He's at Mark Norman's place right now.
Oh, Mark. No, yeah. See, Mark. That's a good friend taking care of cats.
Yes, we both. So our wives um, do a podcast together, and they're both
Mm.
comedians as well. And now they live around the corner from us, so we're shuffling cats back and forth. So like
Oh, that's nice.
their cat is my step cat. It stays with us often. Our cat stays. They just had a kid, so they're going to be home for a
Mm.
while. So our cat knows their baby as well as any person in this world now in terms of
Oh,
exposure to this newborn child.
that's lovely. I hope my cat and my dog live long enough to, and I hope I marry somebody so that she and I can have a baby together.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't imagine I'll love my child as much as this cat.
Yeah, yeah. I've said the
It,
same thing too.
it scares me where I'm like, yeah, kids are cute, but this cat is full grown and every day it's it, I just squeal every time I see him. Every time he walks in the room, it's like that scene at the end of the Lord of the Rings where they all come back into the bedroom one by one and they all say it's like that level
Yeah.
of joy for him just walking into the bedroom, even though I know he's in the apartment.
100%. I see her over there taking a nap in the sun, and it's just,
Oh, can you bring her over?
can I bring her over? All right.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I want to see.
There we go.
Oh, 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 she's so pretty. Sporty. Tabby.
Yeah, it's
Oh,
domestic, so
wow.
there. Yeah.
Like a rag doll. Look at that. You can just hold her up.
Wait.
Just
And then the
she
dog is
looks.
down here just really wanting attention too.
Oh, please. This is how I like to do podcasts is start out stiff and technical and then slowly warm up and be personal by the end. People love it that way, not the
Oh
other
my
way.
gosh. Oh. Well, our time is about to end on
Thanks.
Zoom, but I
Perfect.
do appreciate you, Matthew. This is great. I
Thank you
hope to
so
talk
much.
to you again soon, bud.
Yeah. See you in Atlanta.
Yes, sir. All
All
right.
right.
Have a good one.